Do you feel you can win your league with your current roster? If not, let's see if we could trade our way to a championship. We'll talk about that and more on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we are your number one source for fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Matthew Ane. You can find me on Twitter, X, or wherever you want to call it, at Matthew_Ane. Find the podcast at Locked On Fantasy Baseball on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, so much more. Check it out. Check out the link tree. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the bell below to subscribe to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. Also, please, if you can, please leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple or Spotify or wherever you may listen. It really helps us out, and you know what? It keeps us going. And if you want a little bit more than we offer on this 30-minute podcast, check us out on on Subtext and become a member of the Diamond Club. You'll get, waiver wire rankings, instant reactions, prospect call-ups, and a whole bunch more. And by joining today, you get a free 2 weeks. So check us out. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedonMLB and use the code LOCKEDONMLB in all lowercase for a first deposit match up to $100. And guys, I know I talked about it yesterday. Mookie Betts is hurt. How are we going to replace him? How are we going to replace Ronald Acuña? How are we going to, kind of make up for the poor performances of Bo Bichette, Corbin Carroll, so much more. So many guys that are just either not living up to, their expectation, Randy Rosarena, or anything of the sort like that. You just got to make trades, right? You can't just live with the roster at hand, right? You got to try and improve your team by trading, waiver wires, so much more. So today, we're going to be covering who we should trade away, who we should trade for, so much more. Kind of hopefully give you a little insight at like how I would approach a trade for these people or what I'm looking for in return. And we'll kind of just go down the tubes and go from there, right? And I got some good names today, truthfully. And I think guys we're either going to be able to, pretty much sell high right before, we got a ripcord anyway, or guys that are going to, just are at peak value that I think are return more to human. So let's just get into it and let's start at the top here. Let's talk Corey Seager. Corey Seager is an interesting one, right? He's been on and off the IL. I'm a Corey Seager owner, and he essentially spent like 6 days without having an IL designation of not playing, being super frustrated, and ultimately was a roster clog. Then finally comes back and has been playing like caca-doo-doo. That's the best way to explain it, like a 2-year-old. He 2 for 17, a run, a bomb, 3 ribs, batting 118. Like, it's ugly. The last 2 weeks, literally add an RBI and drop his batting average and raise his batting average to 136. It is not pretty. Now, the last month stats look great. That's the encouraging part. That's where I'm like, let's trade for Corey Seager while this bad taste is back in their mouth. It's been a frustrating season. He didn't play for a whole month. He comes back. He looks like he started off slow, and then he looks like the Corey Seager we want, right? So he's back at it, kind of hurt again, but now kind of working his way back before he explodes. I say we go out and acquire him. I think because there is a bad taste, we might be able to get him on a nice discount. With the anticipation of, when you draft him, you knew he was going to be out for a month. You kind of were, it was a little bit harder to get, right? He still costed something. But now that he's, in ultimately fluctuation of performance and also being on and off the waiver wire, off the IL, that is where I feel like, okay, we're going to come in here. We're going to slide in here. There's guys later that I feel like are a pretty nice kind of trade target. I'll give you a little inside baseball into later what's coming. Not dynasty. Well, dynasty leagues and keeper leagues. I'm going to be trying to move Mookie Betts. I did the same with Acuña. It's all about winning now. So trading a name like that's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks, and you're in a pinch. Maybe you try and throw out, Mookie Betts for a Corey Seager and another piece or two to then round out your roster and fill the holes with it. Another guy, Jazz Chisholm, another guy that has a lot of hype. He's not performing as well as last year. We'll get into it. that I feel has enough hype around him that I'd much rather have the IL risk of Corey Seager versus Jazz Chisholm. That's just me. So, we'll get into why I feel we should trade Jazz later and Mookie. But ultimately, like, these are names I'm probably trying to float off to try and acquire Corey Seager and something for obviously Betts, and then possibly Jazz straight up for Corey. These are nice things that, like, guys that are performing or hurt that aren't going to cost you too many assets and actually probably or actually an upgrade at this point, right? So perfect prime examples of how I would try to go out and acquire Seager. You could obviously compile a few names, but you got to think about it this way. When it comes to a guy of Corey Seager's stature and what he did last year, you still have to have something quality in there, but it just doesn't have to be, precious metals. It could be more of like, you know, here's like a couple $100 versus, here, let me get you this gold necklace, my chain, my deed to my house kind of type deal. And Corey Seager is a prime example of acquiring him now on the cheap. But let's move on. Let's talk a pitcher here. Let's talk Freddy Peralta. Freddy Peralta is an interesting one because he hasn't really looked completely hot. He hasn't been consistent this year, but I'm banking on Peralta kind of coming back and being the Peralta we thought he would be last year. And that he was last year, right? Where he had an incredible year, 3.86 ERA, 210 strikeouts, 12 wins, and a whip of 1.12. Now, the season numbers, actually aren't atrocious outside of the ERA, which I think will return. But he's strung together a bunch of bad starts, especially as of late. White Sox hit him around a little bit with a 5.4 ERA for him. Detroit hit him around with an 8.10 ERA. And even Cincinnati hit him around with a 10.13 ERA. I think that personally, these are great little inside things that I'm looking at where I can go out and acquire a guy I have ranked pretty high that I also think that I can go out and kind of sway the other owner to then give me him on the cheap. And honestly, you probably get him like, I wouldn't say pennies on the dime, but I would totally say you could definitely get him 50 cents on a dollar. I'm all about trying to go and do that. And you know what? There is names here later that, like, I'm not going to give up everybody that's coming up later that you probably can get Peralta and then some. And I think it would be a great return for you. You might be taking a downgrade in the immediate future, but ultimately you're going to have a lot more higher names to capitalize and do it. So, like, again, this is going to be really nice. I don't know if Peralta is a guy I'm going to be trading away in Dynasty or probably keeper, but Dynasty probably not. But ultimately, there is a path where we're going to be able to get him in redraft league specifically is where I think it's going to be the most beneficial. So go out there, trying to trade. If you have any questions, drop a question on, if you're an audio listener in the review section, give us a review, give us a 5-star ratings, but then also please leave your question in there and I'll get to it. And then I'll answer it on the show for you since I'll have no way to answer you anywhere else. If I get enough of these, you know what, maybe I'll do a whole, mailbag show, but let's see. Leave it in the review section on YouTube, comment on there, so on and so forth. I'll try and get to everybody, or just become a member of the Diamond Club and I got you. But let's move on. Let's try and sneak one more name in here before the break. And that's Alex Bregman. Okay. Bregman. He's an interesting one. He's been better of late. So he might cost a little bit more, but he's not like somebody that like everybody's like super excited about. He's not the sexiest name in baseball, but he's seeing a little bit better. This last month is enticing for me. Right? 15 runs, 5 bombs, 14 ribs, batting .260. This is kind of like his thing, right? Like last year, he only hit 25 home runs. Like that's the pace that he's kind of on right now. He has 9 on the season. They're 266 at bats. If he gets to 600 at bats this year, he's totally going to hit 25 home runs. Okay. The runs and ribbies are going to be there. It's a little low right now, but Houston as a whole just hasn't looked great. And I think there's better times to come for them too, truthfully. So I think Alex Bregman's a fair trade target. I don't think he's going to be overwhelmingly expensive either. I'm willing to try and go out there and get him, give up like a pitcher that's kind of like overperforming or a pitcher that's just doing good that you didn't have to pay too high of a draft price, or even, a third baseman that kind of just like is good, but you don't really care, or like whatever that you can kind of replace. And they're probably a little fed up with him too, because he's not living up to the hype or the draft price right now. So Alex Bregman was supposed to be like one of those players that kind of are just like who he is, right? He's a roster stabilizer, and he's not stabilizing whatsoever. He's actually really hurting your lineup at this point. So I feel like people would let him go easier than we normally would be able to acquire Alex Bregman. So try and go out there, float some offers again. Do exactly what I said in terms of that. X me questions. So used to saying us, I miss Dom. But you know, we'll I'll be able to answer all your questions. I'll just get them out there for me. But anyway, before we move on, we start talking guys like Alexis Diaz, Blake Snell, and going to guys that we should be trading away. I do have a couple quick sponsors for you. We'll be right back after this. Passionate drive and patience, the formula for a winning championship, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to its peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whatever keeps you into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts, your number one ride or die will always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Motors Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need and the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home a huge win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions may apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit is only available for U.S. customers. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They are the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS, which is it's just you against the numbers instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks. You pick more or less than 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Exploring my skills on PrizePicks this season adds an extra layer of excitement to daily fantasy sports, which is a few taps you could transform $10 into $1,000 easily. PrizePicks is incredibly user-friendly. You can make your selections and submit your entries in less than 60 seconds. And as a host of Locked On Fantasy Baseball, I might as well give you some good picks to get started with. Opt for Tarek Skubal to have higher than 6 strikeouts in his next game. Opt for Logan Allen to give up and have higher than 5.5 total hits allowed in his next game. Opt for Juan Soto to have higher than 0.5 home runs in the next game. Download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with PrizePicks. All right. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have you had to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 streaming channel program for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all that screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or free on the Amazon Fire TV channel app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, streaming live on Locked On Sports Today's 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube or free on the Amazon Fire TV channel app. Also, introducing the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Diamond Club on Subtext, your ultimate fantasy baseball companion. Rely on our dynamic content this season and get real-time alerts right to your phone, including waiver wire rankings, instant call-up notifications, injury reactions, and a whole lot more. Stay ahead of those fantasy leagues by joining the Diamond Club on Subtext, where your path to victory begins. And you can ask us questions like this episode specifically. Hey, what do you think about this offer? What do you think about this trade? Should I offer this? Who should I target? Send us screenshots, all this wonderful stuff you can get by just joining the Diamond Club on Subtext. The link is in the description below, and by joining, you get a free 2 weeks. So don't miss out on this awesome opportunity. Check it out. All right, let's get back to baseball now, right? And like I teased right before the break, let's talk Alexis Diaz. Now, everybody needs a closer this time around, right? Guys aren't living up to it. We've all dropped the ball. Like I thought Leclerc would be able to hold the job down. I thought that Edwin Diaz would stay healthy and be able to do things. A lot of disappointments across the board when it comes to this. And Diaz is no different in these regards, right? We look at it and he has a 5.47 ERA on the year. He only has about what here? I'm looking for saves on this page. Here we go. 15, which isn't atrocious. But I mean, when you're looking at like total games that he's been in so far, we're almost at the halfway mark and he has a little bit under half. So I guess the saves are kind of on there, but you look at the ERA, it's not great. You look at the walk to strikeout ratio and that's not great because he has 26 innings pitched. I mean, not walk to strikeout. I mean, innings pitched K per 9. So, right. So he has 26 innings pitched, and he has 27 strikeouts. Last year, he had 67 innings pitched and 86 strikeouts. Now, here's the thing. I think there's better days to come. Alexis Diaz is a fantastic pitcher and closer for that matter, right? A guy like him doesn't go from having the season he did last year with an ERA of 307, over 20 Ks per innings pitched, and having 37 saves to now what he's doing today. And the saves, again, are on par. I don't think that he just forgot how to play baseball. Like, I just can't see that being a thing. Now, people might be willing to part with him if they have an excess of closers, right? So this is a matter of opportunity and team specific and league specific. So, take this with a grain of salt, right? Like, so if a guy is carrying 3 or 4 closers and Alexis Diaz clearly is underperforming and he happened to get lucky, you might be able to sneak in there, throw your like meh closer in there to kind of make up for what he's missing, but you're obviously upgrading, in my opinion. And then throw a little something extra in there, and you should be able to go and acquire Alexis Diaz. Whereas, like, if he was performing how he was last year, having that 3 ERA, you wouldn't be able to touch him with a 10-foot pole. Nobody's trading him. So Alexis Diaz right now is the perfect trade for candidate in those regards. It's scary to even see that he's 91% owned on Yahoo. Like, he should be 100% owned. Like, he's one of the best closers in baseball, even though he just doesn't look like it right now. This last week he had 2 saves. Over the last 2 weeks he's had 3, which is kind of ugly, but over the last month, 8. Like, Alexis Diaz is getting the work done and is getting the saves. He's getting the opportunity. Until I see otherwise, where he's getting moved into more high leverage situations and not being used to get the saves, then I want him on my team everywhere I humanly possibly can. So go out there and trade for Alexis Diaz. Now, this name is a little bit more of like a curse word, in all honesty, because I was super high on him coming into the season, and it just didn't work out. But he, ultimately got hurt, missed all of spring training, and is hurt currently. And this is Blake Snell. Blake Snell, what is going on, man? We're hurt. I can see that. We got groin. We had a groin issue, groin injury. He's scheduled to throw a simulated game soon. He's probably not going to be back until after All-Star break, and everybody's fed up with him because his season numbers are fugly, right? 23 innings pitched, 31 strikeouts, a 9.51 ERA with a 1.94 whip. But here's the thing. Blake Snell also does not forget how to play baseball. He's just a second half pitcher, right? It's ugly for the first half. He kind of goes through some struggles. Now, clearly, it's been a little bit more than that, especially with missing all that time of spring training and kind of ramping up and kind of getting rushed back, in my opinion. I think the Giants did him a disservice and not, taking the Montgomery approach, even though he hasn't been good either. Where they kind of let him miss a month of baseball. I feel like Blake Snell would have worked through a few things and would have been starting to get successful now and a little bit more healthier. So my approach is this. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to try and throw a absolute dog poop of an offer out there to try and get Blake Snell. And I probably can get him as long as I have the IL spot to do it, right? Because you have to be able to hold him, and he can't clog up an IL spot. So as long as you have like a, obviously more than one IL spot in league, where like, I play with 4 IL spots in most of my leagues just based off of the amount of injuries that are just happening over the last couple of years. But if you can carry him on your IL, he comes back after that All-Star break, I think we're going to see a better Snell. If not, and I'm wrong, you can blow up the comments and make me feel like poo. I'll eat crow. Don't worry about it. Like, I will admit if I'm wrong, but I just see better days for Blake Snell, and it's coming. So try and trade, buy low, and quite honestly, you're going to probably give up almost nothing for him. So you won't even be mad. You'll just be like, all right, I'm dropping him, whatever. So just try and go out there and acquire him. Honestly, there's nobody even on this show that I'm going to say to trade away that I would offer straight up for Blake Snell, funny enough. If anything, I'd be trying to acquire him in addition to whoever I am trading these guys for. So like, maybe, I don't know, like, what a counter. Maybe if you throw in Blake Snell at the end, maybe that'll get the deal done. Like that, I'd feel more comfortable. Do one of those, like kind of play like, like it's a little too much, and then just get him to throw in. And I think you'll do it. Like, I think they'll be like, yeah, sure. Like, you know what? I have no confidence in them this season is how they're going to take it. So like, go out and just kind of sneak him in the back door. And I have a feeling it might work 9 times out of 10. So Blake Snell, go out there, trade for. But before we move on, and we go into the rest of these names, we're going to talk sell high on these guys, and why I'm going to trade them away. We'll be right back after this. All right. Are you worried about what will happen to your family? God forbid something were to happen to you. If so, you need to check out Policy Genius. Policy Genius is the country's leading online insurance marketplace. It saves you time and money so you can provide your family with a financial safety net starting today. With Policy Genius, you could find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for a $1 million coverage. Some options offer same day approval, avoid unnecessary medical exams. Policy Genius helps you compare your options from top companies, and their teams of licensed experts is hands on and help talk you through it all. Talk to a team of award-winning agents who will walk you through the process step by step. What may need to be considered is your work life insurance and policy may not offer enough protection for your family. Even worse, it may not come with you when you leave your job, which is in most cases. Genius gives you an unbiased advice from licensed expert support team. They have no incentive to recommend one insurer over another, so that you can trust their guidance 100%. Check life insurance off your to-do list in no time with Policy Genius. Head to policygenius.com/lockedonMLB or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance policy quote and see how much you could be saving. That's policygenius.com/lockedonMLB. Here at Locked On Fantasy Baseball, we pride ourselves on getting the latest news for your team. Whether it's the offseason, draft, spring training, or playoffs, it's year round. And you know what else is year round? Collection season. Just because tax season is over does not mean the IRS stops coming after you for unfiled taxes. The IRS can garnish your wages, levy your bank account, and even seize your property. Don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals at tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. With over 14 years of experience, an A-plus rating in Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debt. Whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters that require tax planning, or finally hit that parlay this season and need help filing that correctly, call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon. See the link in the description below. All right, let's get this. Let's get in it, man. Let's start talking trade aways, right? And let's talk about a name I mentioned at the top, Mookie Betts. Why am I offering to trade away Mookie Betts? Well, I always look at it like this: how am I going to win this season, right? So I'm in a weird spot, right? Either I have a great team, and you know what, I'm in a position where I can hold him, and then this conversation is not applicable for you. But maybe I'm sitting 6, or maybe I'm sitting 7 or 8, but I can make a good push and I can make the playoffs. But I have Mookie Betts, and this really is hampering my team. Well, you should move them. Look at the first place team. Look at what assets can fill the holes you need. Obviously, whether it's second, short, third, wherever Mookie Betts can play, which is almost everywhere, whatever you were playing about, see what they have. Okay. See if they'd be willing to take a little hit now to give up some assets that they probably can spare, and obviously level up their team since they're in a good spot, and go, okay, cool. Here's Mookie Betts. You're going to sit on for 6 to 8 weeks. I'm going to take this. I'm going to make myself be in the playoffs, and I'm going to try and acquire a bunch of guys that are not really underperforming. With this deal, yes, obviously I'm going to go out and get like Corey Seager, but with this deal, I'm also going to go out and get somebody that is truly performing too, right? Like, you're not going to be able to go out there and get like a Gunnar Henderson. Like, that's not happening, but you'd be able to go out there and get assets. So, like, look at your team, right? Look at do you need a second baseman on top of an outfielder? Do you need a third baseman? Do you need a pitcher? What holes do you need filled to make you win each week? What are you missing? What category? If you're in a categories league, Mookie Betts still has value whether he's on the IL or on the field, and he still carries that same weight. Maybe instead of it being $1.50, it's about 90 cents on the dollar, and you'll get it. You'll get multiple players for him. So try and move him if you're in a situation where losing Mookie Betts is almost catastrophic. You need to kind of bounce back from that. This is what you do. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about Jazz Chisholm. Jazz here. I'm out on Jazz. I just don't think that Jazz is going to stay healthy. this is the reason why I'm saying to trade him away. He has never done it, and there's more to it than just him staying healthy and those issues, right? Jazz also is on a weird pace. Last year, through 352 at bats, the dude had 19 home runs. He's at 10 right now. Okay, you give him a full season, you extrapolate it, he's hitting 21 home runs, 23 home runs max. The runs and ribbies clearly aren't there, and it's not like last year. They're down, and I don't foresee that getting any better. The team isn't wonderful, and the stolen bases also aren't on pace either. He's 13, whereas last year he had 22. You know, every year you look at what he's done, and it's just not looking like it's looking like 2021, where it's not a bad season, but 18 home runs, 23 stolen bases. That's kind of where we're at right now. I don't like it. I want to be able to capitalize on the name right now. One, before he gets hurt. Two, before people start seeing what I'm seeing. And three, before people just flat out give up on this dude. And there is a world and a way where that happens. It's just not great. And you know what? I have a little bit more of an underlining stats that kind of might be able to kind of support what I'm looking at, right? He's not hitting the ball as hard often, right? He has a decent average exit velocity, a little bit slower than Luis Robert, who we qualify as elite. 89.3, whereas 89.9. So that's a little bit like right on the hairy edge. But he's also following that though with not getting as good of contact, right? So the hard hit percentage, he's not hitting the ball as hard as often. He's not hitting the ball, getting a line drive sweet, like hitting the sweet spot for that. He's chasing, he's striking out more, he's whiffing on those, and he's not even really walking, which is challenging the pitcher to pitch to him. Okay. I don't like everything I'm seeing. Even his ex-WOBA is a 325. These are all signs of, what is going on? I don't foresee an improvement or anything underlining that's saying, hey, there's better days to come. I say bail out now before anything else happens. Okay. I would totally try and trade him. I think 100% you could probably go out there and offer Jazz for Corey Seager straight up, and somebody's going to see it. Might not go for it right away. You might have to throw in a little something, something, but I'd still might if it's small enough piece. You know, try and throw him out there for a Freddy Peralta or an Alex Bregman. If you need a third baseman, buy Jazz. Buy. That's what I'm doing here. But yeah, I mean, enough on him. I want to kind of get to a few more guys before I have to bail out here. And let's talk. Sorry, I'm getting this lined up here. Let's talk Cutter Crawford. Cutter Crawford. He's having a good season. Like his season numbers are great. 86 innings pitched, 3 runs, 88 Ks, 3.54 ERA, and a 1.15 WHIP. Like solid numbers. Even has been solid the last couple weeks. Yes, the month numbers aren't too wonderful, but Cutter Crawford is somebody I need to sell high on now. I need to capitalize on his value, and not their lack there of talent, but there's a few things that are sticking out to me that I think are eventually going to start seeing what we're seeing this last month kind of continue for another couple of weeks before I think he bounces back, which I think he can, but not to this extent where he was at the earlier part of the season. His breaking ball and off-speed pitches have kind of flattened out. The movement is gone. Fastball looks good still. But he doesn't have like a blazing fast fastball either. So it's only about 92 miles an hour. He's giving up decent average exit velocity. So like it's at 81, 88 miles per hour. So it's not like really strong or like what we qualify as elite power or the beginning of elite power. He's getting guys to chase, but he's not getting guys to whiff. He is striking out guys. He is kind of walking guys at a decent pace. He is allowing guys to barrel, but he's not giving up hard hits. But he's also not creating ground balls, which also can lead to home runs, can lead to line drives, or runs, things like that, that can obviously hamper your stats across the board, give you negative points, or affect you negatively in your ERA. So Cutter Crawford, I think, is a prime example of a guy that somebody's going to probably think they're kind of buying low in, but they're also not having to give up too much, that you can probably throw out there and get a guy, and then, maybe pair him and somebody like that closer I was mentioning that you're kind of like, okay, with giving up to go get out and get like Alexis Diaz. Like it's a perfect kind of compliment right there. And I think you might be able to get that done. But now here, let's move on to this next guy here. And Shota Imanaga. Now you might think I'm crazy. Matt, what are you doing? Imanaga's had a fantastic season. You're 100%. I'm 100. By no means am I kind of like, pooping on him. This is not an indictment on Imanaga. I actually think he's fantastic. I whiffed on him this year. Like I do think he's good. But there's still a second half of this season to go. And do I want to bank on Imanaga and say, yo, this is what you're going to be good at, man. You're going to, You're gonna live off your fastball and what's that second pitch? A split finger. You're gonna live off those two because those are his two predominant pitches. You know, he barely has thrown his sweeper, his curveball, his sinker. I mean, granted, they've maybe thrown all the pitches that he has outside of those two. I think maybe add up to still like 200, maybe a little under it actually. He throws predominantly his four seamer and his split finger. And his fastball velocity is only at 91.8 miles per hour. Okay? And with that, his off-speed pitches and his breaking ball pitches do not have a lot of movement. Okay? That kind of scares me. Now, yes, his xERA looks fantastic. He's doing good in those categories. But he's giving up average exit velocity of 88.6. Another mile per hour, and we're at it's now not good. He's getting guys to chase. He's getting guys to whiff. He's getting guys to Ks. He's not walking. He's walking guys, which is all fantastic. But he's allowing guys to barrel. He's giving up hard hits, like on a frequent basis, and he's giving up, and he's not creating ground balls. If the league figures out how to adjust to him, he is then going to struggle. And that is the part where I'm like, okay, the value right now is absolutely tippy top, and we need to sell now to kind of fill the holes. You lost Mookie Betts. You don't want to trade Mookie Betts. Imanaga, you drafted pretty late. He's probably like your pitcher 5 or 6. You could trade him for a few guys and get a haul for him. Do it now because I promise it's time. And this is in redraft league. I wouldn't do this in a dynasty or keeper league, but maybe in a keeper league if I'm in a position. Like if you can't keep him, then yeah, do it. I think that you'll be able to fill the holes to win a championship. I don't care about next year all that much. I care about this year. I want to win. And how do I do that? I trade Imanaga. So guys, thank you. I would love to get this last guy in. I'll throw him in on the subtext for you guys that are over there and are a Dot Club member. But I want to thank everybody for being here. We missed Dom, of course, but please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review. Please, if you have questions, drop it in YouTube, drop it in the reviews on Apple or Spotify. I'll answer them. I'll check every day for you guys. And check us out on Diamond Club. Share our stuff on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, X, whatever it's called these days. And, we would really appreciate it, guys. Help us out here. But with that, guys, please see you tomorrow. Peace out.